Hello there and welcome to Schedule 1, and I got some tips for you and a general guide on getting started in this game and make as most money as possible in the least amount of time and maximize your time versus the profits and all that kind of stuff. Since I'm at the end of the game and I'm pretty much done it now, I've got the last area unlocked and everything is the same after this, so I don't really feel like playing it anymore. There's nothing else really going on besides getting more guys for myself. But anyways, let's get started on that, because the whole object is to sell stuff, and you start off in this little house right here. You don't have enough room to really grow very much, and you're quickly going to go over to that fat dragon place over there and get started on your things. But yeah, let's go over there and talk about the different products first and how to maximize your profits on them. Of course, you start off with the 4 basic weeds, and then you can get like 16 different things to mix them with, and they all have the different effects, and people like those different effects better than others, so they're willing to pay more for them. That's how that works. But the different products on them here, for example, I sell the OG monkey, which is mixing it with horse semen to get the most money out of it. The next best thing I use for crack, for example, I like to use a Viagra, and for the meth to get that done there. The other one there is the Miracle Durkle. You can use a horse semen again, get that same effect, but I didn't want to double stack those effects for that. But then you got the 4 different weeds on there, and the best one is the starting one actually. So getting that OG Kush and mixing it with mouthwash is going to be the best value you have for the money you spend. Buying these seeds is just 30 each, and then buying the mouthwash is just 4 each. And each pot that you grow off the starting pots, you get 8, and then when you get to the more advanced pots you can buy later on at the nighttime shop, they grow 12, and then those values go up by 50% if you use that other ingredients, which isn't really worthwhile at the end of the day, because they cost just as much as the seed costs. You might as well just grow more plants, right? Well, that depends on how much you want to pump out with your workers and stuff like that later on. But as you can see, the purple cheese value right here is 64 for its base value off of that, and the other ones right here, for this one here is the green crack, and and you mix it with the mega bean, you get a 67 base value off of that. But mega bean doesn't unlock until earlier on. Granddaddy Purple and Viagra is a good mix at 60 if you can get that earlier on. But you can mix Granddaddy with semen and get a better value of 62 with it. But the semen costs 9 to make, and the Viagra costs 4 to buy, so you're not making much extra money off that. The sour diesel, the best mix is going to be with iodine. That gets you 65, but iodine doesn't unlock until later anyways. So yeah, your best bet is to basically use the OG Kush, like I said, to get your best value off that. So that covers that. You don't really want to go through all the different values on there. The next thing is actually your orders and stuff like that. So the pricing on there, you might have saw, I just priced it a little bit higher than what the value is. But the pricing on the selling guys, the higher the price that you put it on, the less they're going to buy off of you. So if I up my price, I could have upped my price to like 340 or even 350 or 360 even. Not all the guys are going to buy it off you every night. But you can maximize them up. They're only going to buy like 2, like you're going to buy 1 or 2. And that's not going to help you, because getting experience in this game is based, I think it's based off on how much product you sell, not the value for it, because I got more experience selling more stuff for and making less money. Basically, I made less money, but I sold more stuff and got it. But the basic underlying value is, I think, is for when you're upping the product on here. If you want to maximize it out there, think of it as a 50% rounded up on there. So if the guy wants to buy 1 off you, you can sell 2. You can sell 2 of them. But if the guy wants to buy 4, for example, I can't go over there and make him buy 8 off of me. I believe it may be 7, right? But for now, the best thing to do is make it up to 5 if you can, right? Because all these other containers, they come in groups of 5, and so that's easiest to sell. And then you can up the price on there. So just make sure you're also checking the value up here. He's not maximized on the value yet, so I don't want to really maximize the profits off of him yet. So I know I can up it to like under 1,500, because the other guys will go above 1,500 that are profit margin guys. So I can send them that offer. You want them to say yes, and the scheduling, always schedule for late night. It says 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., but time stops at 4 a.m. The only timer that stops right now at 4 a.m. besides the timer on that is going to be the workers and the weed growing. Everything else keeps on going, so you can keep on doing whatever you want. So you just schedule that for nighttime, and that's going to give you a 20% boost. So if you're at curfew time, you can get 20%. So I can counter offer this guy. He wants to buy 2. I can't sell 4 to him really effectively, and then I can sell that for a little bit more, right? So I'll just make a little bit of money. I want to make sure I get that 20% at nighttime when I'm doing this. This guy wants to buy 3, so I can sell him 5 without a problem. He's still a new customer, so I won't go up 5. Make sure it says 5 there. I won't go up past, you know, that 14. He's not really happy yet, so I'll just stay at 13 just to be safe, right? Safe, better safe than sorry sometimes. Once you get more familiar with what these guys will pay for it at their maximum value, you can adjust your prices then for yourself. But yeah, this guy will buy 3. He can go up to 900. Actually, he's good. He can buy 1,000. He can spend 1,000 for that. You can do that. There you go. And that's how I manage my customers. And you know, you just wait around to nighttime, and you got nothing really to do until then. You can go around and do other stuff like buy stuff for your factories and build them up there and stuff like that. At nighttime, the police walk around, but they end up stopping like right there. So that's where the police will stop at the end of the day. Like every night, they'll like walk from wherever they are, and then the 2 police guys will stop right there. So you have a free reign on the city at night. And the other way you can make money at nighttime is also running around and knocking on doors and then asking them to come out and buy something, because if they're not here yet, it's not really nighttime yet, so it's not really curfew time yet. But once they're there, they're all stuck in their houses, and you just knock on their doors and you can sell stuff to them. You sell it to them very cheap, so they don't buy it for a very high value. So you see these guys buying all this stuff for a higher value, like the purple cheese, for example. Since you're selling a lot of that in groups of 5, they will only buy it for like 320 is their base price that they buy it off of. But if I go there and get messages, they'll pay like 600 for it. So you're not making much money off of it, but you're still just making money off knocking on doors. And that timer doesn't stop. No, it doesn't stop at the end of the day. It just keeps on going. So it's like maybe a 4-hour wait or 6-hour wait, but you can just, you know, you spend a lot of time at nighttime doing stuff. So you can go ahead and just, you know, wait it out type of a thing, right? So you can keep repeating that process over and over again to gain a lot of experience and money at the end of the day of doing that. So this guy here, counter offer, yeah, go buy 5 and bring up to 1,500 since you like me. I'm not 1,600. I don't want to push it yet. It's just a new value I have, right? So I had it on a higher value. It's only selling like 2 or 3 at a time for most guys, and I want to sell them a group of 5s and make them more money. So that's the bigger the 20%, and that's the main part of making money. Another thing is going to be time running around there. So that's why you want to get a skateboard. They're cheap. They go pretty fast. You can even jump on them if you want and do tricks if you really feel like it. Well, not really much for tricks, but yeah, they're pretty damn fast. So it's a lot better to buy this versus a car. Curfew's in effect. So once that curfew's in effect, now you get that 20% bonus. And this is the Fat Dragon restaurant that you opened up behind here, and your basic setup that you can have. Now this is my basic setup. It saved me a lot of time because, you know, watering stuff manually and doing the soil gets really old really fast on there. And then this one here is just it's a one-time deal at nighttime. So my thing is growing to just 5, and that's enough room to hold everything else that I need in here, because, you know, once you get the drying racks unlocked, you can get the quality up to maximum pretty easily. So this is like every nighttime I can come in here, cut all these things up there, dump the soil easily, no garbage, no mess, just dump it in there, and then activate the sprinklers before you go to bed. And then when you wake up, activate the sprinklers again, and the plant will grow up to full. And by the end of the day, that's all you have to do. Once you have it set up at the end of the night. So you're not wasting any time during the day worrying about it. Once you do that, then you stick it on the drying rack, you mix it with the mouthwash in here to get the mixer level 2, and then you have all your jars and stuff like that. And with my house I've been using right here, I've been using the PRG, but as I said before, this is just a 50% gain on the weed products. It's a lot better for the Coke, so definitely use this on the Coke, but on the weed it's just 50%, and this costs 30. A seed costs 30. So yeah, you're spending twice as much to get half the results. So yeah, it's not worthwhile. But it is for the amount of products you want to get for making it your life a little bit easier for yourself. And that's why I chose to do it on these plants right here. So I can now collect 12 off of these. And this is before the other place unlocked, and this was added in later on for the drying rack. So once you get the other pots, you probably want to use those instead with the hanging lights and all the other stuff that you can do manually for them. But if you're doing it yourself, use the sprinklers. The workers don't use these, and then you can get your product off of them and trim it and put them on the drying rack and do all that process for yourself and get your stuff set up. So that's the basic easy setup for myself. So yeah, so I'm making like 60 of these things a night without a problem, right? So 60 kush is not a bad deal for a simple small building like that for yourself. But then other thing you want to do is to save yourself some money is always try and use the cash. You guys are still walking around, is try and use the cash off of the nighttime vendor once you get him unlocked to buy stuff, and then buy the different trucks. The the vehicle you want to buy is going to be the cheap van. That's the best one. That's going to give you the most space. That's definitely by far the best vehicle to use. You got the 2 rows of 8 for the space. It's not bad for speed and everything like that, and you'll be able to go there and buy as much stuff as possible. So this is the shop right here where you can buy some employees to work for you, some weapons if you really want to, and this is the guy right here where you buy the other stuff on there. So this stuff can get expensive, and you want to use your cash for that because you only have so many of those shops where you can go there and launder the money, and you're gonna have to use that money to buy other things like buy the docks and buy the barn and buy the bungalow and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely try and use whatever you can spend cash on and do that. So like all the stuff here, make the trips yourself and do it. As for these pots right here, I don't know this plastic pot. I don't even know the moisture pressure one. I went right to this one here, the best one for that 15% growth, but it might not be the best one at the end of the day for your workers because that 30% moisture drain makes them monopolizes their time a lot when your workers are using it. So you might want to go with this moisture one right here. It depends on how much you get. Now this one right here, you can get 12 buds out of it. Now the other pot over there was just 8. This one here you get 12, and then if you add the fertilizer, you get another 6 on there, so you get 18 on it. So you know that's not bad. Maybe it's just 16. I don't remember exactly. But it's not really worth it. Still, it's just better to have more of these and not use that fertilizer stuff for it. But you might want to go with this moisture one. Your workers will have more time to actually deal with the drying racks because they don't dry stuff right away, unfortunately. At least not yet. They wait until they're done all the other pots first, then they dry their stuff because they're like they're a pain in the ass that way. But you can't buy much off of here, so take advantage of this as much as possible. As for money-wise, it's still better just to buy the regular soil. I don't know why they made the value so bad. You're spending 50% more to have it grow 2 plants instead of 1, and then you're 60 to have it grow 3 times. That's pretty bad right there. They should have really dropped these prices by quite a bit to make it more worthwhile. Maybe like 50 for this. That would be better, right? Or even 40. It'll still be more than that right there, but it's still cheaper to do that. But that's just small little gains on there. So let's go ahead. Sorry. Got some hiccups going on. But anyways, let's go and show you the crack house setup that we have over there, and so you get a basic idea on that, because there's really not much going else on at nighttime. If you get to Frank, I always know this guy right here. He's like, when you get a deal at nighttime like this, you can always counter offer him and do it in the daytime. He's a cheap guy. Well, he can go to 1,000, I think. He's not that cheap. But he can go to the morning. So when you do it in the morning, he get the early bonus. So maybe these guys can do it too, but not all the guys will do that. You can try to do that if you want to, right? So I can go here, I'll go to 900 for this guy, and I'll try and do it in the morning. But most of the guys might not work in the morning. They might not come out early enough to get that bonus, and then they'll be stuck somewhere, and you might not get it. But you can always try that and test it out for yourself for each different guy. Once it's nighttime, of course. Wait till it's definitely nighttime before you actually start scheduling it for the morning and see if that works, because half the time it might not work, and you might be sitting there and not be able to do the deal, and then run around in the morning too fast to do stuff. Why am I just walking? I have the skateboard here. Going a little bit faster. This is the other dealer is right there. One of your other dealers that you have right there. This is your little bungalow that you get. You can only have up to 5 workers, and so I got 3 crack workers, a garbage guy, and a mover guy. That's about it on here. So yeah, it takes up all the room. All these beds and all these shelves take up a lot of room. This is the shelves for the ingredients. The shelves the guy moves the ingredients on. The extra workstations that guys don't really cover too much. But yeah, they hold up to 10 each of these things themselves. So that's not too bad. But these are the crack stations. Cooking meth is funny. When you do it, don't go over the temperature, or you do blow up and die. It's kind of fun. Then try it out for one time. Just make sure you save it first. But the workers. That's how they set up. The one of your workers can only do 4 things. So I have the workers working 2 stations and having them set up over there. And then the worker works here. He works there. And then this is done. He drops over to the oven. He cooks it. And then we have the arrows going. Just don't click that. Just E. And you got the over there, click it, and it goes over to the mixing station, and then they mix it with their favorite drugs. And every day this guy will use like this full rack gets used up if it's working at 100%, and everybody's working effectively. So it uses this whole rack of Viagra every night. So every night I'm going over to the shop over there and buying another stack of Viagra, because I was being cheap and not spending the 200 on the delivery guy. Right? So it's not too far of a trip, but yeah, you can stack up there and make that. Then you have them make bricks. That's what they got other guy's doing. He's just making bricks. So I got tons of this stuff here, so I don't have to have these guys working at the moment. But this is the typical setup that you might want to do. I got 5 crack stations and 5 cookers and a mixer going into a brick guy. If you wanted to actually make it into other products and use this and have it automated, that's another job that the guy just cannot handle, because that one guy over there can only do 5 things, and loading up this stuff right here, is 4 different jobs. You know, he's loading it from this shelf here, he's taking all the supplies and keeping these things up to date on the stuff. So that's 4 jobs right there. And then the 5th job is taking this stuff, this Viagra, and dumping it into the mixer. That's the most important job right there, because that's the one that's most active, doing this stuff. That's all he can do. So he can't actually take bottles and move the bottles into the mixer over here and get that stuff down there. That's why he's got to do the brick press for himself. But if I want to do that, I'd have to cut down on one of my lab guys, which is not a bad idea. You still make way too much than what you need. So you don't need to have like 3 lab guys going on there. You can just get away with 2. And one of those lab guys has to be a mixer. So and they can only do 4 jobs. So that means you can only have like 3 of these stations going, right? So, and that's fine, right? So you have one guy doing 2 stations and 2 cooks, and the other guy just doing 1 station, 1 cooker, 1 mixer. That's fine. Then you can have your 5th guy being the second mover guy, so he can start moving the empty bottles to the packages, and move the other stuff from like these shelves here to that shelf there to stock it up, basically, right? So you can worry about that and have a more in-depth stock profile on there while you're doing this stuff. So, and it's not too hard to set all this stuff up on there. It's just easy to follow. It's easy to click. You click on lab oven, and you find out the direction. Okay, the lab oven, destination, go to the cooker. Okay, go to the lab oven, go to the mixing station. Yeah, that's the mixing station over there. Drop it off over there. So the worker will, once he's done, he'll take that stuff and dump it off over there. But they usually don't go in that order, but they will eventually get around to it and do that. So that's how easy it is to set that up there. And same with the other cooks and stuff like that when they're doing it, right? So there's their different stations that they can do. You set them up to do that. He's working that 5th station over there. That's what he's doing. And you'll have to have the garbage guy too. Everything makes a lot of garbage, and you can sign trash cans. And they have to have a lot of room too, because these guys will get stuck and get in the way. That's why we have the extra space for these workers walking around there. So you want to keep that space to a minimum, a minimum, but have enough room for the workers to actually walk by and do stuff, or they will get stuck and not work. And to get these workers unstuck, it says to punch them, but that doesn't work. Regular punch won't work to get your workers unstuck and get them back to work. You have to wind up your punch, so hold the button down, and then you can give them a good punch. That knocks them down nice and good, and then they'll reset and start working again. But it's 4 a.m., so they're not going to work at all anymore anyways. But yeah, you can do that. You can also just knock them out too. You're not going to kill them when you knock them out. I think he's done. Oh, you can take one more. Yeah. There we go. Now they're unconscious. So yeah, you can do stuff like that if you really want to move them around and say, hey, go over here and get lost. And fly around, ride the hose. There you go. The car ran him over. I didn't do it. It was a bad worker. But yeah, that doesn't really matter. They don't really care. They don't have a morale or anything like that in this game yet. So you can beat up your employees if you want to. But that is how you get them back to work again. Is just make sure you hold the button down and lay them out really good. That will get them back to work on there. And I think that's about it for the basic tips on there. Besides showing you maybe the crack house, you want to stay more for that. But yeah, keep your laundering of your money up and running all the time for yourself, so you have that cash in there to buy more stuff. But the only vehicles you really need to worry about is try and get a skateboard right away if you can afford it. Get the golden one and go and do that, and then get the van. None of the other vehicles are going to really matter too much because they're just not worth it for speed and for cargo capacity and how they maneuver and all that kind of stuff. You just want to get that van, and I'll show you that van at my crack house over here. This is this isn't my crack house. This is my this is the end the coke area. So yeah, those are these workers over here and lots of horse semen everywhere. This is that area right here. And what was I going to show you? Just general area of the crack house. Oh, the van. Yeah, so that's the vans that you order stuff in, and you get them stuff delivered to you. And this is the van that you buy. It has the same amount of, it's a nice cargo room. So definitely save up and buy this van right away. It's not that expensive either. So definitely worthwhile, especially when you go around at nighttime to buy stuff from your drug dealers and you're organizing your bases and stuff like that. You want to move stuff around and get stuff going. But yeah, this is my layout here. I just load up my stuff in the sides. We got wall shelves now, which is nice to hold possible, some extra spot for spaces, but yeah, still a limited amount of room on here, and that's the Coke plants. And they spend all the time watering the plants. That's why I said that 15% growth rate might not be worth it versus the water retention on there, so they're taking less time on doing that. And remember, your workers, they have the built-in watering cans and clippers, so you don't need to supply that and buy that. You just have to supply whatever there is over here that they need. They need to have a bigger storage area for supplies, because it's just not enough when you want them to do everything like they have them over here. Here's the drying racks are going, making the stuff. And the drying racks still keep going too at nighttime, right? The timer still keeps on going, which is kind of neat. So you can get caught up that way if you ever get behind, and just not worry about that. Or stop paying your workers, and they will just sit there and do nothing the whole time. They don't you don't have to pay them. This is all backed up. So this is, you see, all this Coke stuff is all backed up. So somebody's not working. This guy can work. Not a problem. There's room here. That's my out right here. Oh yeah, this guy didn't have any stuff. That's why he doesn't have any jars. He's done his jars. I was behind on that. So yeah, he needs to be resupplied on there. Oh, he still has some. So I guess they're just being weird. Yeah, so maybe somebody's not working properly. They do get stuck and they do get buggy still. But yeah, this got Coke is done and it's not delivered. Coke everywhere, not delivered. But yeah, there's just not enough room for all these different beds and stuff like that. You got 10 workers and just not enough room to place them all. But they don't actually need to pathfind to their beds. They just got to have money in their briefcase in there. And, you know, that's about it. This guy have enough? Yeah, 300. You can always use a control. What is that? Yeah, that's a shift click for 100s at a time. And shift what was that? Right mouse button and left mouse button is 1,000. So you can do that. So that's what. So shift click on the 2 mouse buttons will modify your cache for faster movement and stuff. And there you have it. I think that's all the real tips that you really need for this game, and the basic setups that you have for your workers. So now this works out nicely, having like 4 guys working the 4 Coke plants and 4 drying racks each, and then the 4 cookers here, and then because they can have 4 jobs, and then the 4 ovens, and the last guy on mixing, because that's a more intensive job, is to get that mixing, and then 2 guys doing the workers. Then you're full. That's all 10 guys. If you wanted to max it out, you don't really need to. As you can tell, I got lots of extra products sitting here that's not being sold. I got all that stuff. I got all this, and then I got those 2 things up full of bags, because you know they buy the baggies. And that's what I'm currently selling myself individually, so I need the bags, and they're a lot slower than making bricks and stuff. But anyways, there you have it. Hopefully this helps you out on getting by on the stuff, and you got the most important things, for traveling and stuff. Of course, the van and the skateboard for traveling, and buy the cash, and buy your get your late time bonus. That's about it. There's nothing else much to say for this. I think if you have any comments, just go ahead and leave them. So this guy here, he wants 3. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Make whatever. Take my 20%, and their quick bonus off of him is another 10% off of that. So yeah, that's nice. So yeah, he gives me 30%. That's why I kept him as a customer versus sticking him on my dealers. The last thing you can do is always minimize and maximize your stuff if you want to per guy. They all have their different effects. You can see them on your phone here if you want. Like energizing is a popular one in this area. So lots of this guy's energizing, refreshing, energizing, and refreshing. But what you can do is make an energizing product, and then go to your dealers and stick all those guys who like energizing on the one dealer, then give that dealer energizing effect products, and he'll be able to sell that for more money. And the higher quality stuff that the dealers have, the more money they'll make too. You don't really get that much of an effect for yourself, because they just phone you in there and they don't really know the quality that they're getting. You could always swap it out for less, I guess, if you really wanted to, right? So I could go there and get the worst quality OG monkey and give them that stuff instead, and they won't. There's no difference yet. Maybe later on that's going to be changing, but right now it's not really taking effect that I noticed so far. But I never bother doing it. I'm not too picky about that. I just like to get the extra profit at the end of the day. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.